Justin, it's so great, mate, to have you on Team Gen-Tec. You embody everything that we look for in our athletes for a number of reasons. So let's tell the good people at home something that interests me. You and I go back nearly 20 years now. We did the Mr. Australia with NABBA and we, as fierce rivals, and you beat me very easily, I might say. You don't have to brag, I'll brag for you. We went and did the Mr. Universe, our first universe in '97. So that was nearly 20 years ago. Mate, tell me, I don't know that much about your background. I think I remember you telling me that you did a little bit of powerlifting leading into bodybuilding. You were training in the Northern Territory. Tell me about your background before you did your first show in '97.
Yeah, look, I grew up in the Northern Territory, born and bred in Darwin. So you know, that's where things started for me. Look, probably fortunately for me, the bodybuilding community fraternity up there was quite small, and considering the population size, the NT always seemed to produce some quality and always had a good representation in that scene on a national front. I was fortunate, I think, from a young age to have access to some very good bodybuilders.
Sure. Can you name some of them? Was Bruce Leong, Quinn Lay?
Bruce Leong, he was the #1 bodybuilder in the territory at the time, and,
yes.
You know, everyone sort of looked up to him. You know, Bruce was by far the biggest.
Yes.
Outside of Bruce, there was Quinn Lay.
Yes.
And they were, I guess, for up and coming bodybuilders in the NT, that they were the inspirations and the guys that us young guys looked up to. You know. Your typical, I guess, Asian bodybuilders, you know, very thick, full muscle bellies, tiny joints, so
yes.
and nice and short, so they always looked exceptionally impressive. But they both came from powerlifting backgrounds, so I guess that also influenced how we started. You started lifting weights, you want to get stronger, but you also want to get bigger. And it feels good to lift heavy weights in the gym. So the natural progression once we started was to get into powerlifting and test yourself and see how strong you were. And then from there, you either continue with the powerlifting or went into the bodybuilding. And I found that I did enjoy the bodybuilding side of things more because, you know, I wanted to look a certain way. And once I guess decided that that was my path, then began to train to influence even further the way I looked.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously Bruce Leong and Quinn Lay were inspirations for you. Did you have any other inspirations? Like, who inspired you? Who influenced you apart from those two guys? Anyone? Any other heroes in the magazines or back from the movies? Were you influenced by the movies, by Stallone and Schwarzenegger and? Oh,
look, I think you know, regardless of what age you are, if you're into weights, if you're into bodybuilding, you know, Arnold is an inspiration to yes. all of us, I guess. But yeah, of course, you know, enjoyed all those action heroes that you mentioned. But look, the era that I grew up in and started in, the bodybuilding magazines, you know, you had a lot of those classic physiques from the late 80s, early 90s. You know, there were guys, you know, like the Sean Rays, the Vince Taylors, the Lee Labradas, the Lee Haneys. You know, these were sort of the physiques that I looked at.
yes.
The Barry DeMays, Gary Stridham's, that were fantastic. You know, and a lot of those guys, I honestly looked at and thought, that's what it's about. That's what I want to look like. You know, not so much these days, but those physiques were what I guess was really impressed by.
Yes, at the time. Getting back to the powerlifting, did you compete in powerlifting?
I did.
What were your best dead, bench, squat?
Look, my last powerlifting competition was in 1998. There was they actually, and the reason I did it, there was a couple of things. The national titles were held in Darwin.
Yes.
I was living in Alice Springs at the time. There were a lot of guys that I'd trained with and grew up with in Darwin that were going to go in it, and obviously, you know, the interstate people that were going to come up. So that was something that I was interested in doing, a national powerlifting competition in Darwin.
Let me butt in, this is a year after your first Mr. Universe, or within the year.
That's correct.
After your first Mr. Universe.
That's correct, right. Yeah. And the other reason that I wanted to go in it was that the way I was training at the time, the weights I was lifting, even though I was training as a bodybuilder, were comparable to what the guys were lifting as powerlifters. So I knew I would be competitive. So wanted to give it a go. And at the time, you know, the body felt good, injury free, you know, lifting big weights was something I could do safely and was comfortable with. So yeah, we went in it. 1998, competed in the 110 kilo category, between 100 and 110. I think I was 108.5 or 109 or something. And I totaled, what was it? I think it was I totaled 810. It was 810, a 305 squat, 305 dead, and a 200 bench. And yeah, deadlift is the last discipline of the day, and the third attempt at 305, which I locked out, I tore my bicep on.
So that's why. So here goes my next question. Because I remember the NABBA Nationals in '98. I competed. You were judging,
That's
and
right.
I remember you telling me you'd torn your bicep.
Yeah.
So this is fast forwarding. We talk about you competed in the NABBA Universe in '97. We then didn't see you on the bodybuilding scene till what, 2008?
2008.
So what did you do in that time? What happened apart from tearing your bicep in '98? I mean,
I remember judging that show because the national NABBA show that year was also in Darwin.
exactly.
Yeah, and I remember judging the show because my arm was in a sling.
Yes, yes.
But yeah, look, 98, I recovered and rehabilitated the bicep, and that probably set me back. I was going to say 12 months, but it wasn't 12 months, it was less than that. 12 months from the date of surgery, I was back to lifting some decent weight. And when I say lifting some decent weight, I'm pretty sure 12 months post-op, I was back to pretty comfortably deadlifting 5.5 plates, so 220, 240 kilos. So the bicep was good to go,
Yes,
you know what
obviously.
I mean? And then after that, look, I was working in Darwin, I was with the NT Police. Wasn't long after that transferred to Central Australia, Alice Springs. Still trained, but look, a number of things happened, you know, circumstances in life, you know, et cetera, decided to concentrate and focus on my career as a police officer for a period of time. And then before you knew it, you know, year after year after year sort of ticked by. And as you said, you know, it ended up being 11 years before I was in a position where I was able and decided to compete again. Absolutely, yeah. But still trained throughout that time.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
consistently, always consistent.
Always trained.
Yeah. So it showed in your physique. Obviously, when you came back in 2008, actually, I was there. Did I MC that show?
You did.
So I've been lucky enough to MC your comebacks here, and it's such a pleasure. You know, it's such a pleasure because I've got to say this recent one is even better than before. Before we get to that, what's the toughest adversity you've overcome? Was it the bicep tear? Was that the hardest adversity you'd overcome? Or can you share something else with us, even personal, job related, anything? What's the toughest adversity you've overcome to be able to still succeed in bodybuilding as you have?
Look, there's you know, I'm no spring chicken. There's certainly been plenty over the years, but look, injuries are a big one.
Yes.
You know, I've had the bicep tear, had, you know, the full rupture, had that reattached. In more recent times, I had a partial shoulder recon. I tore my rotator cuff, again a full rupture. I have had 2 hernia ops over the years, both sides. So injuries do set you back, and they're tough physically and mentally. You know, the stresses with work and pressures associated with finances, they're always tough to deal with, but you know, everyone deals with that sort of stuff. You know, I guess more on the mental, psychological front, you know, relationships, they're tough.
Yes.
I don't know if any one thing's tougher than the other, but you manage all these things, and I guess it's all about priorities. You know, whilst I love my weight training and I love my bodybuilding, getting ready for a competition is physically and mentally tough, and I do find that you need a deal of balance and stability in all other aspects of your life before you can embark upon committing to a competition, for sure.
Okay. Yeah. That's a great answer, because it's there's not many bodybuilders, there's not many people I know that 20 years later can come back as a Masters competitor at possibly your best ever, and clean up the local, the national and international stage as well. So let's just talk about 2008 through to 2010, so that first comeback after an 11-year layoff. I mean, what was that like? What was it like being off stage for 11 years and coming back? What was the motivation? Why did you want to do it again? Number one. And number two, how did you do it so successfully?
Okay, look, I always felt, look, after 97 and after the universe in 97, I wanted to go back, you know what I mean? And I think having watched the NABBA shows, because it was a pilgrimage from Darwin, you know, we'd attend and either compete in or watch the local state show or the territory show, and then we'd go down to Melbourne, because back then the Nationals was always in Melbourne.
Yes.
And watch the national show. But you know, back in that era, I mean, some of the overall winners of that show were, you know, outstanding. They were freaks. You know, you had the Clemishas, and
yes,
you know, it was unbelievable. So yes, going down to 97, whilst I tried to present the best package that I could, and you know, obviously did and had success, I had no expectation of winning. So winning the overall and then getting presented with the opportunity to go to the universe was totally unexpected. I'd never prepared or planned to go to the universe, so I was quite daunted by that, and had to probably, you know, we chatted before about you, had to be convinced to go.
Yes.
And one of the arguments that actually convinced me to go was a good friend of mine, Chris Hosking. Similar sort of thing, won his height class at the Nationals in 92, never went to the universe, never got an opportunity to do so again. So his lasting words to me was, big fella, you mightn't get the opportunity to ever do it again, you have to go. So I went, shitting myself.
Yep.
But when I went there, the thing I took away from the universe standing next to those guys was, I can achieve that. You know, these guys are good, but that's not so far ahead of me that I can't be better,
yes,
and beat them. So
yes,
I always wanted to go back. So the I guess the drive was that I was going to go back, and then obviously never did for so many years. So it always felt like there was unfinished business. You know what I mean? So that always stuck in the back of my mind. Not having competed for so long, whilst I still trained, I drifted away from the bodybuilding scene, and that was probably a coping mechanism for me, a very competitive person. So not following the scene, not being aware of what's going on, that was probably what made it a lot easier to deal with not doing it. And then towards 2008, position in my life where, yes, there was a lot of stability, and training was going well, was in a position to start to consider a comp. So put things in place to get back up there. And the thing that I found really easy about 2008 was I'd been away for 11 years. There weren't too many people that, apart from, you know, guys our age, that were aware of me. No one knew I was competing. I certainly didn't tell anyone. And there was no pressure.
Yeah.
You know, no pressure, no expectation. Yeah, so I found that exceptionally easy, and just you know, did my best to turn up in shape, and you know, I guess the rest is history. Turned up and had some success.
Yeah. So that was in 2008, 9 and 10. You won the overall again. So that's 4 overall national wins with NABBA.
Yep.
Where did you place at the universe in 8, 9 and 10 in your class 2?
2008, 2009 were the same as 97. Top 6. I got a 6th place.
Yes.
I was ecstatic in 97 to make top 6. Returning after 11 years in 2008, I was over the moon to make top 6.
Yes.
2009, you know, obviously you tried to do better, top 6. You can't at these international events pick and choose who turns up. You just, you know, you turn up the best you can be, and then it's in the hand of the judges. 2010, you know, was my best ever. Was, you know, biggest and best and hardest and all that sort of stuff. And turned a top 6 into a top 3. So 3rd place at the Universe 2010. I was over the moon. So at that time, I'd certainly ticked a lot of boxes. It was 3 overall Mr. Australia wins in a row, which was exceptionally satisfying, and the top 3 at the Universe. I was wrapped.
Yeah. So tell me, was that your biggest triumph? Was 2010 your biggest triumph? Or
oh, absolutely, absolutely.
That was your biggest triumph?
Yeah, and I can't split the two. The 3 overalls in a row, or the 3rd place at the Universe, both equally, I guess, as important. Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting, because fast forward, to 2016. I was lucky enough to MC again and witness, I think, the best comeback I've ever seen. Coming in and winning the overall New South Wales with NABBA, doing the Southerns, the NABBA Southerns, and winning the overall there. Going over and competing in the Masters division in the NABBA World Championships in Natal in Brazil. You've gone over there looking what I thought was your best shape ever. I just couldn't believe, the muscle quality along with the condition, and I think your balance is as good as it's ever been. I was thinking that might have been your biggest triumph. So tell us about how that's just compared, in all honesty, winning finally an elusive world title. I mean, we know how tough the universe is. To place top 3 at the universe, to place top 6, you're a great bodybuilder. You're at the top internationally of the amateurs to place in the top 6 of the universe. You've just gone and won your first world championship. You're now a Mr. World. You won the Masters division at the World Championships. So can you tell us about that comeback after 6 years then, being off stage, after your biggest triumph, placing 3rd at the universe? What was it like coming back and winning the Masters Mr. World after 6 years layoff again?
Look, winning a world title, I think that's the pinnacle. That tops my achievements from 2010. Previous to that, I'd been overseas 4 times to compete internationally. I know what the standard is like and the quality of the competitors. So to win a title representing Australia on the world stage, that's pretty special. So after 2010, I was relatively satisfied with my bodybuilding career. I ticked a lot of boxes. I didn't have any great desire to immediately return to the stage. I always figured that perhaps one day I'd do something again, but that burning desire wasn't there. And my mindset with bodybuilding is that kind of has to be there, because you will be competing against guys who do have that, and if you don't have that, you will get beaten. And I always compete with the mindset that when you jump up on stage, you want to be that good or that much better than all of your competition, that there's no decision for the judges to make, you're the winner, So
yes.
I didn't have that for a while. It was only, I guess, as I approached 2016, that sort of came back, and I guess it kind of started the year before, because I set myself a bit of a goal of getting back in shape again, to see if I could do it, at my age. I was 42 at the time. I wanted to get some photo shoots done. I was coming back from the shoulder surgery, so I wasn't quite sure where I was at physique-wise and what I could present. But after getting back in shape and having a number of photo shoots taken and done, and participating in some photo shoots with some other competitive bodybuilders at the time, I was very happy with what I looked like in the result, and I guess that went a long way in convincing myself that as a competitive bodybuilder I was still very competitive. So decided that that was 2015, that in 2016 I'd do the same, but in 2016 I'd get back up on stage. I tried to keep it under wraps, but in this day and age of social media, mate, there's no secrets.
Yes.
So the rumour mill was well and truly underway about what Justin Wessels was doing, and
Yes.
No matter what you said or did or denied, as you started to get into shape, people kind of knew what was happening. But 2016, what I put on stage, I was exceptionally happy with. That stage weight was down a little bit from 2010, but I think there were some improvements in the physique, and obviously the extra years of training, the detail in the physique.
Yes.
I was really happy.
Yeah. It was outstanding to see you on stage in the condition and the way you looked. Was truly outstanding for all of us that witnessed it. Tell me now, let's fast forward a little bit. Justin, something that impresses me about many of the guys that are around me and that are around Gen-Tec and our other athletes is you're no different. You're a professional person, you're a firefighter, so you have a full-time role with aviation firefighting. You do your personal training and contest prep coaching.
Yep.
And you're competing at an international level. How do you juggle, contest preparation, coaching and personal training along with your full-time gig with the Fireys, along with eating 6 meals a day, cardio daily, training in the gym 5 to 6 days a week to compete? How do you do it? What's the secret to that?
Well, look, at times it's a fine line. It's a juggling act, that's for sure. Look, it's about priorities, I guess. But I think the big thing with all of that is, mate, I love it. You know, I got with the aviation fire and rescue, I got a job that I actually really enjoy doing. I love being a firie. I love going to the gym and training and my bodybuilding, and I do enjoy the contest prep side of things, whether it's the one-on-one PT in the gym, and generally my clients aren't general PT stuff. It's bodybuilding stuff.
Yes.
And it is very satisfying and rewarding helping others get in shape and achieve their goals on stage as well. So a genuine enjoyment in all of that certainly makes it a lot easier.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, when you attack it with an enthusiasm and a passion that you probably wouldn't if you didn't enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's no faking the love of your job and your role, what you do, is there? There's no faking that.
No.
So let's talk about bodybuilding these days. I mean, it's changed so much now, come nearly 20 years down the track. Is there anything, what do you like about bodybuilding and maybe don't like about bodybuilding in the current era? We've got it's so social media driven. There's, you know, many, with no disrespect, many federations are watered down with maybe lesser categories where the guys aren't as heavily muscled, same with the girls. What do you like about bodybuilding, the current era of bodybuilding, outside of just your personal experience with it? Because I think your experience is much like it was in '97 still, that fire's in your belly, the hunger, the love for it, it's all still there. Looking at bodybuilding 20 years down the track from when you first competed, how do you see it?
Oh, look, it's definitely evolved, it's definitely changed. Well, how do I answer that? Look, I think the bodybuilding scene as we knew it is different. That's changed. I think at that you know, at that peak level, at that international level, it's still the same.
Yes.
But I think locally it's changed. I think the way it's structured these days, there are a lot more divisions to suit you know, a myriad of different physiques, whereas I guess when we started, you know, there were limited categories, and if you wanted to be a competitive bodybuilder, that's what you strove for and that's what you aim for. So it's structured, I guess, to accommodate a lot more people these days, and a lot of different physiques, that's for sure. Sometimes I feel it gets a little bit confusing. There's too many categories, too many divisions.
Yes.
But look, what I do like are the divisions that are still rewarding the more classical type physiques, which is, I guess, what initially attracted me to bodybuilding.
Right.
You know, for me, bodybuilding's always been looking at a physique that just looks great. You know, the perfect physique that you want to look like.
Yes.
You know. The modern day bodybuilding with the you know, particularly with the IFBB professional bodybuilders these days, whilst there are certainly some professional physiques, and I go as far as say you know, some freakish physiques, impressive to look at, but there's probably not too many of them that I'd want to look like.
Right.
Just because that's not what inspired me when I first started.
Yes.
So it's kind of evolved that way, but it's also evolved with all the different divisions for people to choose from to go in. Whether it's better or worse, I'm not sure. I think numbers wise, you know, at the shows there's probably, you know, still plenty of numbers. It's just they're spread over a lot of different divisions and categories these days.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. That's a good answer, mate, because it was a pretty open question. So Justin, like I've said, it's so great to have you on board with Team Gen-Tec, and you embody all of the traits and the values that our top athletes have, you know, and you know, the difference is with you, I guess, we've been mates for 20 some years. A lot of the other athletes came on board as teenagers and juniors and they weren't yet champions. But because of their values, because of their humility, because of their work ethic, their dedication, their self-discipline, I saw something in a lot of these young guys, Joe Ramintis and Ben Wortley and Nathan Wallace. They end up, because of the way they are, becoming world beaters, right? Now you've come on board with Gen-Tec. It's such a pleasure to have you on board because you have all of these same values, and ultimately, mate, I know it's not just your genetics that's made you a world champion now. I know it's your approach, it's your attitude that really has made you a world champion. Tell us why, I mean, I guess I know, but tell the good people why you wanted to be on board with Gen-Tec. You know, I didn't have to beg and grovel. Why are you on board with Gen-Tec? You know, how do you see the relationship and what attracted you to Gen-Tec Nutrition?
Right, look, there are a few things. One, I use your products, and I have used them for a number of years. I know you, and I've known you for a long time, and there are a lot of things that we have in common, and obviously we established a friendship, but it goes beyond that. Your athletes that are attached to Gen-Tec for all the reasons you just gave, I do like that. I do like where your head's at, what you're about. I do like the direction that Gen-Tec is headed. It's Australian, it's reputable. Yeah, you've got quality stuff. I trust in it. I believe in it. I want to be associated and attached to it, and I do think that together or being a part of it, that there will be some really exciting things in the future. So look, I saw it as a good opportunity, and like I said, when I spoke to you and had the conversation about becoming involved with Gen-Tec, I was just as excited as you were about being part of the team. That everything you said and the rest.
So let's talk about the young guys getting into the sport, and even the young girls getting into the sport, because we all live a pretty similar lifestyle to get ready for a show, no matter what division you're doing. Probably one of the differences is the amount of time you've been doing it for to get that muscle size, as opposed to a height for weight category. What advice would you give a young person, or a beginner? It doesn't necessarily have to be a young person. What advice would you give to someone getting into bodybuilding or thinking about competing?
Okay, look, certainly things don't happen overnight. One of the things I find with young people in the gym these days is I'm not sure whether they have a different work ethic or whether their level of expectation is different, but there seems to be generally looking for a shortcut or a quick fix, but that just doesn't happen. It's a work in progress. It does take a long time, does take a lot of hard work. One of the things I always say to my guys, you've got to keep it simple. And nothing beats hard work, and it's that hard work day in, day out, week in, week out, 4 years on end. You know what I mean? And if that's the work ethic, if that's the mindset that you have, at the end of the day, you will get the result. There aren't any quick fixes. There aren't any secrets. The one thing that hasn't changed over the years is you train hard, you eat well, you get lots of rest. And that's what it comes down to.
Yes.
I started as a 16-year-old. First comp was at 21. It takes time. It takes years and years and years in the gym to put the size on and get yourself looking the way you want to look. So you will get there, but you won't get there overnight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great advice. One last question. How do you stay relatively injury-free at 43 years of age to be training with the intensity and the volume you train with? How do you treat your body to maintain your health? Because you're obviously one of the healthiest, bigger guys I've seen, ever, which is a testament to your approach to the sport. What is your secret to maintaining a relatively injury-free physique and good health? At 43 years
At
of age.
43, yep, 43 years young. Look, everything evolves, so your mentality evolves, your training evolves, your knowledge evolves. So, what I did 20 years ago has changed from what I do now. So, look, you need to manage the body, you need to be mindful of the body, and I guess over time you learn the best way to train your body and fuel your body and what your body responds to. So look, I spend a lot of time these days when I train on warming up. I spend a lot of time these days on being prepared and organised with my meals. I guess I try not to shock the system too much, so not getting too banged out of shape off season. So if you do decide to compete, obviously, which we've just done, there's not any drastic changes, so again, I guess keeping it simple, but definitely managing the body. So I don't train with the same weights. I still train with as much intensity as ever. I just achieve that in different ways. I'm more in tune with training the body effectively, and leaving the gym, exhausted physically, but not joint sore, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Very good advice. Mate, we'll wrap it up. Can you tell us, we're going to have a quick chat to one of your clients, proteges, pupils, if you like, young James Wessels. We're going to have a quick chat with James and ask him a couple of questions. He's received a tremendous result under your tutelage. How do the good people, and of course I'm sending people your way all the time because I trust in your values, in your approach to bodybuilding and getting your clients on stage healthy. And this is the biggest thing, Justin. They get on stage, they're healthy, they're in great condition at their personal best. How do people get in touch with you to, if they want contest prep coaching or personal training to become their best? How do we get in touch with you?
Yeah, look, you can drop me an email, justin.wessels@hotmail.com, or Facebook. And this day and age, Facebook seems to be a common medium for contact. So,
Yes.
So flick me a message or an email, and we'll go from there. Bodybuilding, I guess the way I view it these days is, it's a lifestyle, and obviously I've shown that it can be sustained long term, and that's what it should be about: long term fitness and health, and lifestyle.
Can you tell us future plans? Can you let us in on what you're still going? You're still going at 43 years young. You've just achieved a world championship. You're going to keep rolling with this. Can you tell us about the future?
Look, we spoke about this before. The fires have certainly been well and truly relit. I'm keen, I'm motivated. Look, I feel as good as I have in a long time. After the world title under the belt, which was something that I'd aimed for and dreamed of, I guess, for a long time. So that was very satisfying. Been to the universe a number of times, and up the standard is like there. So I guess I'd be lying if I didn't say that something I am thinking of now is a Masters Universe title. But I'll definitely be on stage again. It'll definitely be next year, just which shows I'll need to give some consideration to, and then I'll lock something in.
Brilliant. Mate, we'll follow your progress. We'll support you as much as we can at Gen-Tec. It's such a pleasure to have you on the team. So folks out there, follow Justin Wessels. You want to get in shape, get in touch with Justin. But it's an absolute pleasure, mate. We wish you all the best in the future.
Thank you very much.